A 150-pound Cane Corso that was chained in a backyard for 3 years refuses to leave two toddlers' room every single night. The parents set up a camera at 2 a.m. to find out why, and what they saw made a grown man break down in tears. A 150-pound Cane Corso that spent 19 months on a chain in someone's backyard refuses to leave two toddlers' bedroom every single night. The parents set up a camera to find out why, and what they captured at 2 a.m. during the worst storm in 40 years changed everything they thought they knew about this breed. His name was Brutus, a 150-pound brindle Cane Corso with a massive head, a chest like a barrel, and eyes that made grown men cross the street. For the first 3 years of his life, Brutus lived on a 6-foot chain attached to a concrete block in a backyard in rural Georgia. No shelter, no shade, no contact. His previous owner kept him as a status symbol, something to scare people, then forgot he existed. When animal control finally seized him, his neck was raw from the chain, his ribs were showing, and he had never been inside a house. The shelter labeled him Code Red, aggressive breed, unsocialized, high risk. 3 families applied to adopt him. All 3 returned him within 2 weeks. The first family said they destroyed their furniture. The second said their neighbors threatened to call the police. The third just said he was too much. He sat in kennel number 7 for 463 days. Almost no one stopped to look at him. Would you have stopped? Ryan and Jessica Miller weren't looking for a Cane Corso. They had 2 kids under 3. Mason was 2.5. Lily had just turned 1. Ryan wanted a Labrador, something safe, something predictable. But Jessica saw Brutus's photo on the shelter website at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night and couldn't stop staring at it. She saw the chain marks on his neck. She saw the ribs. She saw those eyes. "I want to meet him," she told Ryan. "Jess, we have a 1-year-old. "I know, I still want to meet him." The shelter coordinator, a woman named Diane, was blunt. "I have to be honest, he's never been around children. He's never been inside a home longer than 2 weeks. Most people can't handle him." Ryan looked at Jessica. Jessica looked at Brutus. Brutus was sitting at the back of his kennel, staring at the wall. He didn't bark, he didn't move. He looked like a dog that had stopped hoping. Jessica knelt down. Brutus turned his head slowly. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then he stood up, walked to the front of the kennel, and pressed his forehead against the bars. Jessica placed her hand on his head. Diane whispered, "He's never done that, not once in 463 days." They brought him home that afternoon. The first month was chaos. Brutus didn't know what carpet was. He flinched at the sound of the dishwasher. He paced the hallways at night like he was guarding a perimeter he couldn't see. But he never once growled at the kids. Not when Mason pulled his ears, not when Lily crawled over his legs, not when both of them climbed on his back like he was a horse. Something in him recognized them. Something in him chose them. By week 3, Brutus had developed a routine that no one taught him. Every night at 8 p.m., he would walk into the kids' room and lie down between their 2 cribs. Not at the door, between the cribs, like a wall, like a shield. Ryan's mother called it obsessive. His neighbor called it territorial. But Jessica called it something else entirely. She called it love. Ryan tried to move him to the living room the first few nights. Brutus would wait until Ryan fell asleep, then quietly walk back to the kids' room and take his position. Every single night, without fail, without command, like it was the only job he had ever been given that actually mattered. I see you're still not subscribed. That stings a little. Hit subscribe. Ryan set up a baby camera to watch what was happening, and what he saw at 2 a.m. made him sit on the edge of his bed and cry. Every time Lily stirred in her sleep, Brutus would lift his head, check on her, then check on Mason, then lay back down. Every time Mason coughed, Brutus would stand up, walk to his crib, sniff through the bars, and only lie down once he was sure Mason was okay. He did this all night, every night, for months. A 150-pound dog that the world called dangerous spent every night making sure 2 tiny humans kept breathing. A dog that spent 3 years on a chain, alone, forgotten, with nothing to protect, had finally found something worth staying awake for. Have you ever seen a dog choose to love like that? Or is that something we don't give them enough credit for? But the night that proved everything happened 4 months after the adoption. A massive storm hit their county, the worst in 40 years. Thunder shook the house. Lightning cracked so close it set off car alarms on their street. The power went out at 1:47 a.m. Ryan and Jessica woke up to complete darkness and a sound they had never heard before. Brutus was barking. Not his usual quiet patrol. This was deep, urgent, relentless. Ryan grabbed a flashlight and ran to the kids' room. What he found stopped him cold. The window above Mason's crib had shattered. Wind and rain were pouring in. Glass was everywhere. And Brutus was standing over Mason's crib, his massive body blocking the broken window, shards of glass embedded in his shoulders and back. He hadn't moved. He hadn't run. He had taken the glass so Mason wouldn't. Lily was awake, crying in her crib on the other side. Brutus turned his head toward her, then looked back at Ryan, and in that look was something Ryan would never forget. It wasn't fear, it wasn't pain, it was a question. Are they safe? Ryan would later tell Jessica that in that single look, he understood more about loyalty than in his entire life. Ryan pulled both kids out. Jessica wrapped Brutus's wounds. The vet later removed 11 pieces of glass from his back and shoulders. Not a single shard touched either child. The vet looked at Jessica and said, "This dog didn't flinch. Whatever he was protecting, he was willing to die for it." The same dog the world chained up and forgot, the same dog 3 families gave up on, the same dog the shelter labeled Code Red, he bled so 2 toddlers wouldn't get a scratch. Today, Mason is 4, Lily is 3, Brutus is 6. He still sleeps between their beds every single night. He still checks on them when they cough. He still walks them to the school bus like he's clocking in for a shift. And those chain marks on his neck have finally faded. But what replaced them is something permanent, a bond that no label, no chain, and no storm could ever break. Because sometimes the ones the world gives up on become the ones who give everything. And sometimes a dog on a chain is just a hero waiting for someone to set him free. Do you believe a dog like Brutus is born dangerous or made that way? Tell me in the comments.